Bloodrayne is a vampire action game from the 6th generation of consoles, and I was only kind of interested in this, so I put it off for a while, because I guess I've never been much of a vampire guy. But for some reason I'm really into vampires now, and this being an early 2000s vampire game that felt a lot like Blade, I wasn't sure that I'd be into it. I was incredibly wrong. Bloodrayne kicks some ass. It's also a really interesting feeling game. Like, I wasn't wrong, there is a lot of Blade here. From basically being a superhero to being half vampire as opposed to full, to being very bloody and slicing up shit, to being hypersexual. Honestly hypersexual to the point it sometimes feels comical.
No, please, Doctor, not me. No!
It has a lot of Blade in it. I could totally see a Bloodrayne Blade type crossover. But there's also like other things it has in it. There's some like Matrix for sure, because there's some slow down time powers as well. And the game goes level by level. It has platforming, it has melee, it has shooting. Platforming wise, it's not that bad. It's not good either, and the camera control can be a pain in the ass. But the thing is, it's not like super challenging platforming segments, so it honestly doesn't have to be like fantastic. It only has to be good enough, and it is good enough for what you need to do. Combat wise, you have your blades, which allow you to chop up enemies by pressing L1, which I think is a very inconvenient button for it. And the animations aren't always connecting either. Like, you still are attacking, but like it doesn't feel that good. It's hack and slash with like almost no polish. The animations of what's happening may not even be connecting with the enemy, you know, it's just both things are happening and you are damaging them, but it doesn't look that good. And it feels okay. Gunplay involves swapping guns. Like, obviously, what's unique is she's just using whatever gun. Anytime she throws it off onto the floor, she walks up to another gun and grabs it and picks it up. There's no reloading, you just keep swapping out guns forever. You grab what's around and you start blasting. And because there's no reloading, you're swapping these guns out really fast. Which is interesting, but I do think I'd prefer to be able to just keep some and get more ammo for it, but it's not a deal breaker or anything. Every mechanic in this game kind of falls under like, it's fine, but not great category, you know? There's also a rage mode, and of course that lets you super boost damage. And if your health is low, you can suck blood from people. And this is good and bad. I don't know. It means you suck blood a lot. And you can kind of abuse that a little bit, which is fine and not fine. I don't know. It really depends how you feel about that. For me, I didn't mind it that much. I kind of liked it. Graphically, it looks alright for a PS2 game. I think I'm more impressed with the cutscenes, which not only look really good for the time, but give me that early 2000s feel of superhero hunting the prey. I'm thinking like X2's Nightcrawler scene, or the Elektra hunting that rich dude at the beginning of the Elektra movie scene, things like that. And fun fact, there are multiple Bloodrayne movies, and they're all directed by Uwe Ball, who is the director known for bad movies, but I also know him for boxing his critics who didn't like his films. I think that's a really interesting thing. But I haven't seen any of the Bloodrayne films, but after playing this game, I am interested in at least giving them a try. The game starts with you having just joined a group called the Brimstone Society, and your trainer is another half vampire named Mince. The Brimstone Society seems to just kill bad guys, and they're very mysterious, and that's about all you get to know. Mince gets eaten, and she's gone now, and shortly later a Nazi named Wolf stabs you, and so we hard cut to 5 years later. And after that hard cut, every level is now about fighting Nazis. There are lists of targets who we need to kill while slicing through Nazis. And at some point they get taken over by monsters, which kind of makes them Nazi zombies before Nazi zombies, so that's cool, I think. And the animations are great. I like slicing up one of the monsters and then avoiding the wriggling attacks as it slowly stops moving. Like, they didn't have to do that stuff. It would have been easy to make it just die immediately. But no, they put in the extra work into that animation, and that stuff pays off for me. There's a lot of very unique bosses and it feels very like superhero-y. The bosses all have like special powers or something special about them and a backstory. Maybe they're super fast or they're super strong or just really good at fighting. And they all have cool designs. I mean, yeah, they're all racist Nazi shits, but that's part of what makes killing them fun. I think the best boss is this KKK preacher who uses his pulpit as a shield with a minigun, and you gotta slow down time so you can get behind him and shoot his ass. It's top tier. Unfortunately, most of the game is you just slaughtering Nazis and Nazi zombies in very similar looking areas. It's fine, but it becomes very repetitive without a lot of break in between. Some variety in levels or even enemies would have been really good in my opinion. You do eventually see full vampires, and they're like actual monsters, like the vampires from Major Lazer, if anyone gets that reference. And I know I asked for variety, so what I am about to say is going to sound a bit hypocritical, but the level where you have to be in a mech suit sucks ass. It controls like shit. It's hard to see where you're aiming, and I should feel more powerful in a mech suit, right? Not less. I felt far weaker, and I'm so glad it's such a short part of the game. Also, Mince doesn't die somehow. Even though we saw her got eaten, it turns out she is a Nazi. So we fight her, and she falls to her death, and then she jumps back up only to fall to her death a second time.
Now we play for keeps. Don't make me do this. Mince! Goodbye, Rain!
Only so we can now find her again, not dead, and she reveals she's a double agent and is actually not a Nazi, and is with Brimstone Society, which makes no sense, because she just tried to fight us to the death, and she could have just told us she was a double agent. There wasn't reason to not, but she didn't, and it doesn't matter, because then she dies again by Wolf, the leader of the Nazis. So a lot of that was dumb and pointless. In the end, you gotta fight a giant demon and Wolf. And at first I found them kind of hard until I understood what I needed to do, and then it was a piece of fucking cake. It ends on more cutscenes and edgy flip-offs and us learning about the whereabouts of our father to set up a sequel. Overall, Bloodrayne is a pretty solid game. I don't think it's great at all, but it sure ain't bad. I enjoyed it, and it's worth a play. Bloodrayne 2 is no longer in Nazi 1930s and now is in the late 2000s, which I don't necessarily hate. I mean, Rain is a vampire, so she can live forever, but that is a giant fucking leap. When we could have had her in like the 40s or the 50s, you know, slowly get to present day. And by present day, I mean over 20 years ago. Holy fuck. Why is time moving so fast? Oh shit. Make it stop! Anyway, now this game plays a bit different than the first game, which in my opinion is both a good and bad thing, and might just be an opinion-based thing, you know, so like, maybe you like it more, but I like the first game more. So combat-wise, I do think it is a lot better. In the first game, it was like you were attacking the spot the enemy was in rather than the enemy, but in Bloodrayne 2, it for sure looks like you are actually attacking the enemy. And the buttons actually make sense rather than L1 being the attack button. It feels and looks much better, and has lock-ons and blocking. Is it good combat? No, not really, but it's not bad and it's better than the first. And remember how I said that I wish you didn't have to keep dropping and picking up guns? Well, they heard me, I guess. 'Cause now you get to keep the guns you have and just reload them, and they work on blood, so when you go into being a vampire, you got a few options. You can use the blood for your health, you can use it for your bullets, or you can use it for your rage meter, and all of them are helpful. However, you don't get a lot of ammo, and shooting isn't always a good move. Honestly, I just used melee over shooting most of the time. There's also a variety of abilities and powers Rain unlocked through gameplay. It's kind of just various versions of the same 3 powers from that first game. The sight, the speed, and the rage. But it is probably more important and useful to use them in this one. The game is also a lot more cinematic in its gameplay. I love doing things like grinding down a railing and slicing up some fucks.
Oh, you didn't need that, did you?
On the other hand, though, there are these grappling hook parts where you gotta throw enemies into objects to progress. And this wouldn't be an issue if it happened like a few times, because it is kind of fun. But when you have to do it so many times, you realize, yeah, no, this is one of the worst parts of the gameplay. The goofy-ass way the enemies are flying around just feels silly. It's my least favorite part of the gameplay for sure. Platforming is where I think people will disagree with me on, because, well, this is a more polished kind of Prince of Persia-esque platforming with your flipping on poles and you're climbing on poles and you're hanging on poles, and I guess it's just pole-based platforming, really. My take is that it's worse than the first. Not only does it take far longer to get where I want to get while the enemies can shoot me, but the first game felt far more free, and this one's a lot more linear, and I'm talking just platforming wise, because both games are level by level, but platforming wise, I felt a lot more free. Huge amounts of invisible walls are in the second one, unless you platform where you're supposed to. And while the first game did have some invisible walls, I just felt so much more free in my movement and platforming. I could improvise, I could attempt paths I wasn't supposed to. It's really not a thing in this one. Water and sunlight play a bigger part in this one, and while sunlight barely hurts you, water has a strange mix of damage. Sometimes it's like being poked, and other times it's like being hit by a train, and it's super inconsistent, but it never becomes that big of a problem, really, and it's cool to have those weaknesses if I'm going to be vampire, right? Graphically, this is one of the best looking PlayStation 2 games I've ever seen. The cutscenes and the gameplay look impressive, and even the costuming of outfits are very cool. At the beginning, Rain wears this slick black dress, and I love it. It's before going to her normal outfit, and I also love that. Story-wise, you are working with an agent of Brimstone to take down your father, Kagan. Kagan's trying to build a shield over the sky that will allow vampires to run around in the day and kill and shit. And he has 2 sexy vampire demon-type women with him, as well as a smart zombie-looking dude, and you need to kill everything that moves. And that's about it. And eventually, you do. With the day saved, you are wondering about taking over as a empress to the vampires. Meanwhile, that group Brimstone is killing vampires now that the vampires tried to take over, so they're just indiscriminately killing vampires, and they're hiding in a vault, and it's likely they will come after you even though you were on their side because you're part vampire. So they're super anti-vampire, and that could play into part 3 if there was a part 3. So anyway, it's a fine story. It's not bad. It's not good. It's fine. And to wrap it up, I'd say there are things that make Bloodrayne 2 the overall better game. However, I for sure enjoyed the first one far more, and that's the one I recommend. Both are fine titles. Sad the series died. I mean, there was a 2D spin-off, but it's so different. It's really just a spin-off. And it didn't do anything to revive the series. These weren't that bad of games. These were pretty good titles. Nowhere near masterpieces, nowhere near great, but they're good titles. They definitely are.